earthvox podcast. earthvox podcast.
All right, here we are. Good Sunday morning to you. Running a couple of minutes late. I had an energy drink and gave myself a stomach ache because I just don't drink things like that anymore. Not like I used to. It's not an everyday thing anymore. And I think that's why we have a lot of resistance to the new information that comes out about the stuff that we eat and about how it's really bad for us. Sort of piggybacking, I guess, on the end of the show last week, talking about the new food pyramid. Our body adapts to the garbage that we shovel into it. So when we hear that, all of the wheat and oats, etc., that we eat, they're all sprayed with glyphosate at the end of their, growing cycle because it helps dry everything out before harvest, and that saves time in the processing, which saves money, which is the most important thing, right? It's one of the reasons that everything sucks and that everything is so expensive. Because when a new government regulation comes through that says it's going to become more expensive for you, company that manufactures anything, they go, oh, well, that's fine. We'll just make it more expensive for the consumers that want to buy it. No way in hell am I going to take a hit to my multi-million-dollar yearly salary. Don't be crazy. I'm going to keep raking it in, and the peasants are just going to have to keep paying more. So what do you mean things are going to become more expensive? That doesn't matter to me. And you know what? We're going to blame you, politician. We're going to blame you for making things more expensive, and the voters are going to take that information to the polls, theoretically. Here's Nicole Shanahan. She was going to be Robert Kennedy's vice president when he was still conducting his presidential campaign.
I just spoke to the EPA this morning. There's a big group of people, scientists out there for 10 years now. They've been trying to get them to stop glyphosate spraying in harvest. So farmers will use glyphosate throughout the crop cycle, but a practice that we do here in the United States that's banned in Europe is pre-harvest desiccation, which is spraying the crops to kill the weeds, to loosen the crops so that they're easier to harvest. But the problem with that is the residues. The glyphosate residues don't have time to dry out and dissipate. So we're eating heavy loads of glyphosate. And we're, chatting with the EPA this morning. I zoomed in. I was virtual, but the rest of the group was there in person. And for 10 years, this group has been telling the EPA about this. And for 10 years, the EPA has failed to act. This is one of the easiest things we could change.
So this is why people think that they're gluten intolerant, because they've been eating this wheat that's had herbicide sprayed on it at the end of its life cycle. This is why they tell you to wash your vegetables, to clean all of that stuff off. And I think I just saw, maybe you saw it too. Now the thing is, good Lord, soak your vegetables in water with baking soda, because that will save you from the poisonous chemicals that these massive food corporations are spraying all over your food. So I have a bellyache because I drink an energy drink, a Monster energy drink, arguably probably the worst energy drinks that you could put into your body. Not that any of them are good. They try to seduce you with the thought. And maybe this is why a new energy drink comes out when one leaves the market. There used to be a really good grapefruit flavored energy drink. I don't know if you're into that, called Chronic, back a million years ago, that I used to buy when I was working on a construction site. Delicious. 2 for $2. How many years did that knock off my life? Speaking of knocking years off of my life, I I went out on a date with my wife last night, and we went to Walmart after we had dinner, because that's what you do when you've been married for 10 years and you're looking for a little excitement. And I got a Mountain Dew. Yeah, it was going wild. And I thought, as I only drank 3/4 of it, and then I was just like, ugh, throw it in the garbage. And I asked my wife as I did that, how many years did I just take off of my life by drinking that slop? We don't think about that kind of stuff. It's just, whatever we need to get through our workday. Some people drink coffee, some drink tea. Not the ones that want to stay awake, but others drink Diet Coke. Like, well, I guess I gotta pull it up now. This is so much fun. I haven't referred to my notes once since we began. I'm just ripping. This is why I don't like sticking too close to my notes. You know what really got me though is trying to mastermind the title for my whatever stream, because you got to throw the title in there before you go live. And so I'm kind of locked in. When I would just record and upload later, I could talk about whatever I want, kind of, maybe make notes or listen back, grab a few sound bites throughout the course of the show and go, okay, that's what I talked about. That's what I'm going to call the show. Now that I have notes, I feel like I have to stick to them. And so I create the title based on what the notes are about. And then I'm like, oh, I got to stay locked in. I got to stay on these topics because this is the title of my show. I don't want somebody to go through and listen to the show and see the title and be like, wait a minute. He didn't talk at all about, this one topic that he wrote in the title. I do plan on talking about Iran, probably talk a little bit about Greenland. I mean, that's the other thing too, right? What am I making the what am I making the how am I going to make the title different for this show than the last show, especially when it's such persistent things that keep persisting through the news cycle. Like, we're still talking about Greenland, and of course we're still talking a lot about the all the protests that are going on in Minnesota, and I guess now Portland. But this was a pretty, I don't know, funny, sensational, viral clip that came out with, no, this isn't even the right, oh Lord, this isn't even the right video. As you can see, if you're watching the video, we are streaming live on X and Rumble and Twitch and YouTube, where nobody gets it because it's not promoted to anybody, because here it is, because these are unpopular opinions, as you know. These are unfavorable perspectives to the global elitist cabal. So nobody sees. It was funny. I was uploading short videos that I cut from this podcast with the with like the buzzwords, for example, and they would get they would upload, they would get 1,000 views, and then boom, Gone. Not a single view more, because the algorithm figured out what I was talking about and said, "Oh, no. We can't have that message. We can't have that message getting out. We we must ban it for all intents and purposes." But no strikes, no terms of service violations, just undesirable opinions. Here's RFK telling us about Trump's diet.
Who has the most unhinged eating habits?
The president. The interesting thing about the president is that he eats really bad food, which is McDonald's, and then, candy and Diet Coke. But he drinks the Diet Coke all times. He has a constitution of a deity. I don't know how he's alive, but he is. But
he drinks the Diet Coke because he doesn't like coffee. He likes the little pick-me-up it gives him.
And he's at Mar-a-Lago. He says he says that the only time that he eats the junk food is when he's on the road, and he wants to eat food from big corporations because he trusts it. He doesn't want to get sick when he's on the road. But when he's at Mar-a-Lago, or
I heard it was because he didn't want to get poisoned by the people that hate him, of which there are many.
At the White House, he's eating really good food. So I think you get this, if you travel with him, you get this idea that he's just pumping himself full of poison all day long, and you don't know how he's walking around, much less being the most energetic person any of us have ever met.
But why do we eat that way? I mean, we eat that way because we're in a hurry, or we don't like to cook, which I don't know. I feel like that's a worthy excuse to eat fast food. Who said it has to be garbage? Who said it has to poison your body? You get up, you're a single individual. You get up early in the morning, you got to grab something on the way to work. So you hit the Mickey D's drive-thru, get yourself a bacon, egg, and cheese. I love it. It's my favorite. It's my favorite thing. My favorite breakfast food from McDonald's. The bacon, egg, and cheese biscuit. Except now they're like $5 each. Total freaking ripoff. I'm not into it. And I've been skipping breakfast recently anyway. Every day. Like, coffee and cream is enough to satisfy me until it gets to about noon or 1 o'clock. And then I'm good to go. Eat something while I'm at work or away from work. I can go home and take my lunch break because I'm blessed. But I think I'm gonna start a campaign, and I want you to join me. So make sure you reach out. Leave me a voicemail, 701-787-1121. Send me an email, therealearthvox@protonmail.com. Join the movement for a 4-day work week. And I'm going to sell it. We are going to sell it as an environmental benefit. Because remember, during COVID, when everything was shut down, everyone was staying at home, working from home, except for the select few of us that were deemed to be, necessary. We were so benevolently allowed to go out and risk our lives during the pandemic so that we could deliver food and Amazon trinkets to the poor, plagued masses. But remember, during COVID, everyone was talking about how clean the air was. The pollution reduction during COVID. I wonder if I can find something about it. It's really not consequential. The National Institute of Health, here, let me bring you in. If you're watching the video, please hit the like button, subscribe, hit the share button. Whatever you can do to help me out, I would greatly appreciate it. We have from the NIH National Library of Medicine. the impact of the COVID-19 lockdown on global air quality, a review. The coronavirus disease, declared a pandemic by the World Health Organization, preventative measure, the majority of countries adopted partial or complete lockdown, the levels of air contaminants like nitrogen dioxide, sulfur dioxide, carbon monoxide, and particulate matter decreased globally compared to levels in the past few decades. In many megacities of the world, the concentration of PM and NO2 declined by greater than 60% during the lockdown period. There you have it. Need no more information. 4-day work week for the environment. Come on, we can all get behind this, right? If you're working from home, you just work a couple extra hours a day, get your 40 in. But what day of the week do you want to have off? I say Wednesday. I say, and I've said this before probably to many people, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday off, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday off. Imagine how it would improve everyone's quality of life. All the restaurants and bars that people would go to ordinarily only on Friday night, well, now you can hit it up on Tuesday night. You do shopping on Wednesday when you would normally have to smash it into Saturday and Sunday. Dude, 2 days off a week is not enough. All right? I'm putting my foot down. We're going to war, figuratively. Speaking of going to war, I saw headlines claiming that the Greenland efforts very unpopular with the voters. You know how we feel about polls on this show. Very unpopular that Trump is talking about taking Greenland for the United States. The ice raids, too, very unpopular. Joe Rogan doesn't like it. Who is Joe Rogan? Why is the Greenland acquisition so unpopular? Why are the ice raids so unpopular? Well, how popular would they be if they were being covered fairly in the media? Do you see any positive coverage? What are they talking about on Fox News right now? What do you think the top headline is going to be? I got to bring you in so that we can see it together. FoxNews.com. Take me there. Trump team, top headline. Trump team warns CBS will sue your a blank blank off if network cut interview footage. Then we've got some Minnesota senators call for a no-go zone. Won't work in America. That's the opinion of David Marcus. We got something about a Texas linebacker and a $40,000 flying car. Yeah, that sounds safe. Okay, those are our top headlines on Fox News. No positive coverage about Greenland or the Minnesota protests and ice raids, except for maybe this. I got to click on it. We're not. Sorry, Omar Fata. Why is it making noise? The most annoying thing that could possibly be. It's all just advertiser driven, isn't it? Make some noise. Attract people. No, annoy people. Make them shut it off and leave your page. That's what I do. The headline in this article, David Marcus says, sorry, Omar Fata, we're not doing Somali-run no-go zones in Minnesota. Oh, gee, why not? Why ever not? So it's not really about, I would say maybe a cursory relation. It's like protest adjacent, right? Minnesota lawmakers' ex-posts feature him standing before iconic towers with message about protecting community. Oh yeah, it'll be so great if we can just have Somali-only neighborhoods in Minnesota. Why? Because ethnic diversity does not lead to a lot of good things, I think, right? No? Is it? Can we put that to rest? Is that still up for debate? cultural diversity. I mean, it's not really working out great for us. Or I don't know, maybe that's just a narrative. Maybe that's a narrative of racists to say. I mean, I don't have a racist bone in my body. No hate in my heart. But look at what's going on. I mean, it's not, we can point to Iran for a counter argument. A lot of cultural diversity in Iran. No, but things are still popping off there, aren't they? Although I mean, we're going to move through this because I don't know how reliable this information is. They have the internet shut off. And not just the internet, they have phones, etc. But this headline from CNN from I guess it was updated earlier today. Iran's supreme leader admits thousands were killed in protests supported by, quote, criminal Trump. But how does this information reach us? From the article, Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei acknowledged Saturday that thousands of Iranians were killed during more than 2 weeks of unrest in the country. Deaths he blamed on U.S. President Donald Trump, who he said openly encouraged the protesters by promising them U.S. military support. Okay, if this is true, it feels like bait. It feels like big-time bait. Because we also have this story from Sky News. Headline, Iran hit with sanctions as officials move millions out of the country while protests rage. So put this picture together. They're baiting Trump into going all in, presumably, in Iran. To what end? To what goal? I mean, who wants that more than Israel? I'm ready to cut all of my ties with Trump. All of my support. If he involves us in another war in the Middle East. And I keep being reminded of a prediction that Tim Pool made on his show a couple of years ago now, probably. He thinks that it's likely Trump made a deal with the cabal, told them they could have their regime change wars if they would allow him to be elected president in 2024. How close is that prediction to reality now, in your opinion? How would it how would it affect your support for Donald Trump? I'd go back to full anarchist, full anarchy. Because, I mean, anarchy doesn't mean no rules. It means no leaders. It means collectively we could agree on a way to operate. And we could all operate within that framework. I mean, I don't really think it's very realistic. But what seems more realistic, more believable when it comes to this whole Iran debacle is, first of all, the story keeps going back and forth. All the protesters are winning. I know the protesters are being killed in the street. Here's video footage of all of these dead protesters. But then the video, I mean, they say thousands, right? They say thousands of Iranian protesters were murdered in the streets. And I don't want to look at the footage, but I'm a journalist, kind of. So I watched the video. And oh, what do you know? It's less than 50. Less than 50 people in body bags. No thousands. And then counter protests. Oh no, these protests, these aren't about anti-Islamic regime protests. These are pro-Islamic regime protests. This is the counter protests in favor of Khamenei and the Islamic State. But if the follow me now. If the oh, did I not save the link? Ass. I bet I could probably pull it up. I asked Grok about the communications. What is, how is information, how is reliable information reaching us if the internet is shut down? And is the internet still shut down? Yes, in fact. Based on the latest available data, the nationwide internet shutdown in Iran is still ongoing. Iran, Iraq. Yeah. You know what I mean. It began around January 8th, 2026, in response to widespread protests and has resulted in internet traffic dropping to effectively zero, disconnecting the country from the global internet. Reports indicate this blackout was extended beyond just the internet to include disruptions in phone services and even satellite connections like Starlink. And then, interestingly enough, X was down for, or at least sporadically, for quite a while Friday morning. So, of course, I pressed Grok and said, okay, well, how is reliable information reaching the wider world if all of the communications are shut down? So, oh, well, they can smuggle out videos, and Starlink still works sometimes, and basically creating a bunch of conspiracy theories in my mind. A bunch of possible ways for, oh, I don't know, bad actors, Israel, neocons, anyone that would benefit tremendously from war with Iran, basically for the boot of Donald Trump's American military to crush Iran. And I just have to say, I would be largely in favor of a quick operation. Don't waste my time. Don't get a bunch of people killed. Get in, blow up a bunch of stuff, and get out, and then hold a fair election. If what's going on is really going on. I mean, at what point do we have to selfishly advocate to make the world a better place by getting rid of the world's leading sponsor of terror? And on the other side, why can't we just leave people alone and let them practice Islam? Well, I think the answer to that question is evidenced around the world. The religion of peace dominates Iran. And they just killed thousands of protesters for not being cool with the religion of love and peace. And now they're threatening Donald Trump. They're saying this is the most unbelievable. Iran, the headline from the New York Post, Iran issues sickening assassination threat against Trump. This time, it will not miss the target, end quote. Iran issued a sickening threat against President Trump Wednesday, broadcasting a picture of the commander-in-chief during the 2024 Butler rally assassination attempt. With the words, "This time it will not miss the target." The ominous warning was aired on Iranian state-run TV, Agence France Presse reported. It marks Tehran's most direct threat yet against Trump, following his repeated threats that the U.S. will strike the country if it continues its brutal crackdown on anti-government protesters. And then they were claiming to have planned 800 executions of captured protesters, and Donald Trump said, "You better not." And so then Iran said, "Oh, okay, we won't do it." And so then Trump sort of softened his posture at that point. But now they're making threats. Allegedly, Iran is saying, we're gonna assassinate Donald Trump if he doesn't, what, like, we're just gonna kill him? Like, no, it doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me. I find it very hard to believe. And I don't think I'm the only one. The cabal has been wanting to take down Iran for a long time. And the conspiracy theories abound. You talk about central banks, etc. It's a theocracy. Of course, the globalist cabal hates religion, which is just another black mark against Iran. I'm sure Iran, I'm sure several entities and organizations and individuals want Trump dead. Most of the world, I should say, most of the people in charge around the world. But they want, the whole world wants to stop Trump because they've been seduced by the lies of globalism. And these world leaders, they don't, everybody's against Trump's acquisition of Greenland. Is that, how are we all just able to unify around stopping Donald Trump? Why is it so easy? Because someone is behind the scenes. Many people likely are behind the scenes pulling the strings. And these world leaders, the Macrons and the Trudeaus and whatever Greenland, Denmark idiots that are getting involved now, they don't realize that they've been chosen to lead their countries because of how pliable and dim-witted they are. What do they excel at? Looking good on camera and lying to the public. So it's been posturing all week. Oh, look, we're rolling out our troops. We're getting ready to stand up against the UK and France and Germany and all of our NATO allies. They're supposed to be friends. Aren't our allies supposed to sort of mutually want good things for each other? It's one thing that about Donald Trump that always impresses me. Because I love the people of Germany. I love France. I love London. He wants good things for them. But when Trump starts talking about doing something that would be really beneficial for the United States, that involves any level of capitulation by our allies. Oh, no, we can't do that. Our great ally to the north is now making deals with China and is quoted as saying this will be beneficial to the New World Order. Let's see if I can pull it up in a quick search. Canada, New World Order, China. Maybe it's this post from Rachel Thomas. The CBC has been caught red-handed again. Mark Carney explicitly committed Canada to helping establish a new world order with China. Yet the CBC chose to cut that statement from the clip they aired. While in China, Carney mentioned the New World Order. Canada went viral, and for very bad reasons, as Carney announced the New World Order and partnered with China. It spread around the world fast because people are paying attention to this stuff. This clip from Juno News, allegedly, see, all of this stuff can be faked. Reads, CBC omits Carney's, quote, New World Order line in spliced Beijing clip, because they'll lie to you. See, this is the thing. This is all being done in the shadows. All of the pieces are being lined up. Everything's being put into position so that when it's time to take your freedom away, boom, it happens fast. You don't have any time to react. That's why I tell you the time for complaining about things online, the time for snuggling up in your bathrobe in your rural community and thinking that you're protected from all of this stuff, that's over. You're not. It's coming for you. And they already have the cities. They do. Prove me wrong. Look what's happening in Portland, in Seattle, with this nut job mayor that obviously hates herself. The mayor of Seattle, what, Katie Davis? Katie Johnson? She hates herself. Katie Wilson. You look at her talk, you look at how she presents herself, she's not a well person. She isn't. Change my mind. Leave me a comment. Send me an email. TheRealEarthVox@protonmail.com. So what do you think? When Trump encountered this resistance about Greenland, what do you think? He said, all right, roll out the guns, start shelling Germany, the UK, France, and Italy. And no. He said, okay, I'm going to use tariffs. Because money is all you care about. You don't care if your soldiers die. You don't care if your citizens die. You don't care if your infrastructure is destroyed. Because just like the mayors in these American cities that tell the police to stand down and let the citizens run wild and loot and pillage and plunder, it's no different. Why would it be any different? What have you seen in the last several weeks and months and years that would make you believe that the leaders of these smaller European nations are any different than the people that are running our blue states and cities? Trump announces, from Benny Johnson on X, he writes, breaking, Trump announces he will impose a 10% tariff on 8 European countries starting February 1st. And this was what Donald Trump posted on X. We have subsidized Denmark and all of the countries of the European Union and others for many years by not charging them tariffs or any other forms of remuneration. Now, after centuries, it is time for Denmark to give back. World peace is at stake. China and Russia want Greenland, and there is not a thing that Denmark can do about it. They currently have 2 dog sleds as protection. That was a meme. One added recently. Of course, the leftists will all roll out and say, no, there's not, it's not dog sleds. Trump's a liar. Only the United States of America, excuse me, under President Donald J. Trump can play in this game, and very successfully at that. Nobody will touch this sacred piece of land, especially since the national security of the United States and the world at large is at stake. On top of everything else, Denmark, Norway, Sweden, France, Germany, the United Kingdom, the Netherlands, and Finland have journeyed to Greenland for purposes unknown. This is a very dangerous situation for the safety, security, and survival of our planet. These countries who are playing this very dangerous game have put a level of risk in play that is not tenable or sustainable. Therefore, it is imperative that in order to protect global peace and security, strong measures be taken so that this potentially perilous situation ends quickly and without question. Starting on February 1st, all of the above mentioned countries, Denmark, Norway, Sweden, France, Germany, yep, we get it, will be charged a 10% tariff on any and all goods sent to the United States of America. On June 1st, the tariff will be increased to 25%. This tariff will be due and payable until such time as a deal is reached for the complete and total purchase of Greenland. The United States has been trying to do this transaction for over 150 years. Many presidents have tried, and for good reason, but Denmark has always refused. Now, because of the Golden Dome and modern-day weapons systems, both offensive and defensive, the need to acquire is especially important. Hundreds of billions of dollars are currently being spent on security programs having to do with the dome, including for the possible protection of Canada. And this very brilliant but highly complex system can only work at its maximum potential and efficiency because of angles, meets, and bounds. if this land is included in it. The United States of America is immediately open to negotiation with Denmark and or any of these countries that have put so much at risk despite all that we have done for them, including maximum protection over so many decades. Thank you for your attention to this matter. I think China is behind this. I do. Maybe even Russia. I mean, would it shock you? I would be a little bit shocked. But I wonder, what does Denmark owe China? Has Denmark participated in the Belt and Road Initiative? I'm asking Grok right now. I'm typing, what does Denmark owe China? Has Denmark participated in the Belt and Road Initiative? Short answer, please. I don't think that Russia is involved in Europe's denial of Greenland to the United States. But it wouldn't blow my mind if they were. It wouldn't blow my mind if something, because you see, there's all of these unknowns. When you take into the Ukraine war, the Nord Stream pipeline, all of these different elements that we think we have the answers to, I mean, they could all be lies. They could all be fabricated information, fake videos. According to Grok, Denmark does not owe any significant public debt to China. Denmark has not formally signed a Belt and Road Initiative MOU, but has engaged in related cooperation and projects. Okay, so that immediately makes me wonder, how much does Denmark export to China each year? Short answer. Because in the same way that the United States is putting pressure on these European countries to allow us to acquire Greenland, China could also put the same sort of pressure in the opposite direction. $3.22 billion worth of goods to China in 2024. So what percent of Denmark's GDP is that? I bet it's big. Denmark is not a large country. $3.22 billion worth of goods to China in 1 year is substantial. Denmark's $3.22 billion export is only, it's 3.2% of their GDP. So, that's a fair amount. Denmark's GDP is $424.5 billion. It's bigger than I thought. But this is how you find the answers to pressing questions without believing the mainstream media. You find out what their financial incentive is. It's not that. But are they just doing it because they want to feel good about sticking it to Trump? Maybe. I find that hard to believe, though. But, I mean, as we covered earlier in the show, they are pliable and dim-witted. But just the anti-American propaganda surrounding the Greenland discussion should be enough of an indication. Should tell you everything you need to know about the importance of Greenland for American greatness. And it's interesting. Don't you find it interesting? We took out Maduro. We seized control of Venezuela. And we harmed the energy production in these adversarial countries because of how much oil Venezuela was selling to China and to Russia. Now we're involved in Iran for ostensibly the same reasons. But the outrage in the media I mean, this has given the media the events that it needs to dominate the headlines. Right when all of the massive fraud and the literal theft. I mean, you could argue that all taxation is theft. I'd hand you that one. But tens of billions of dollars of our tax money is being stolen by local governments and politicians, Democrat politicians, all sponsored by the mainstream media. So now we can shift our focus to these massive protests that are just, they're just organically popping up. Or are maybe some of these stolen tax dollars going right into the pockets of these protesters? But C3 posts on X, are you sitting down? California NGOs. There are 213,720 of them, getting $593.4 billion a year in funding. 132,000 in New York, getting $500 billion. Minnesota NGOs, only 41,000 of them, still getting $124 billion a year. 56,000 in New Jersey, getting $113 billion a year. And 44,000 in Washington State, getting about $140 billion a year. These are the NGOs funding protests. They're funding leftist politicians. They're funding the destruction of your neighborhoods, your cities, your states, and ultimately your entire country. Receiving trillions of dollars. And these are the things that the Trump administration is undoing. But the elitist cabal, the globalists, they want your attention on foreign intervention. They want your attention on regime change. They don't want your attention on the good things. Why is this post unavailable? Oh, come on. You guys, my good news post is gone. It must have been wrong. Clay Travis posted on X. Murders collapsed. Drug overdoses collapsed. GDP soared to 4.3%. Core inflation is at a 4-year low at 2.6%. All-time record high stock prices. That's never been a problem in the last, couple decades at least. They've always made sure that the globalist traders, and I mean traders with a D, not traders like Benedict Arnold type traders, the day traders, the stock traders. Because I mean the stock market was always hitting record highs during Biden too. I mean, because they're cheating at that in the same way they're cheating in elections. But most secure border in history, millions of illegals deported. 2025 was one of the best years in American history. And this headline from ABC News supports in the comments, U.S. overdose deaths fell through most of 2025, federal data reveals. Imagine what can be accomplished just by governing the border properly. Stopping the drugs from coming through, stopping people's access to them. Although I think one could probably argue that when I'm trying to think of a nice way to say this. When drug addicts die of overdoses, there's fewer drug addicts to die, to become statistics of dying from overdoses. And I just wonder, like, how much of this is lying through statistics. I made a mistake in my notes here. Just in terms of segue. I think I probably just pasted something. Because, I'll give you a little peek behind the curtain here. I aggregate everything that I want to talk about. And then I cut and paste it to make a show that flows nicely for you. And I don't know. I think what I probably did is grabbed a big block of text and accidentally included this headline shared by Braden Sorbo on X. Trump just declared that his administration is cutting off all federal funding to sanctuary cities and states effective February 1st. Let's watch the video.
We're giving 90-day notices to places like California, Scott. Right away, we're going to send out that notice. Who would bill the federal government as people poured into the state to send those people back because no country can afford to do it? No country can afford to take in millions of people, pay for their education, their health care, their hospitals. You just can't do it. And we all have a heart. You can't do it. But many of those people are murderers. They're people released from jails, prisons, mental institutions, insane asylums. They're people that are drug dealers. They're addicts. Additionally, starting February 1st, we're not making any payments to sanctuary cities or states having sanctuary cities because they do everything possible to protect criminals at the expense of American citizens, and it breeds fraud and crime and all of the other problems that come. So we're not making any payment to anybody that supports sanctuary cities.
This is Trump's method. This is how he operates. He takes away their money because he knows that's what they really care about. Yet somehow everything is done in the name of stopping Trump. It's kind of funny. No other administration experienced this level of outrage when deporting illegal aliens. It's because they figured out the scam. They figured out how to maximize the effectiveness of the illegal immigrant population for the left, to the benefit of the left. So they're outraged now that they've been caught. And it hasn't been blatantly exposed in the mainstream media, but they've been caught. So they're losing their federal funding. And of course, there will be lawsuits upheld by activist judges. But when he's done defunding the sanctuary cities, maybe he can defund this school until they fire this teacher. Did you see this story? This was pretty sensational, I think, on Wednesday or Thursday. This video went up on the 15th. This is audio of a teacher at Manson Northwest Webster in Iowa. Libs of TikTok writes, she screams and lies to her class about ICE shooting Renee Good.
It's funny, Ben. Why are you laughing? Because that is what has happened. And if you do not process that, you need to process that right now. It is fine. If you don't like the fact that she was warning people about ICE being in the neighborhood, that's fine. It is okay for you to not have liked that she was doing that. That's okay. But what you need to understand is that she was told to leave the area. And so she was turning her vehicle away. She waved two other vehicles and they were leaving. And she was turning away. And the officer stepped in front of her vehicle, raised his gun, and fired a shot at point blank range into her vehicle. And then as she drove away, he turned and fired 2 more shots at point blank range and shot her in the head. And that could have been you. You think it's funny? Because that could be you, or it could be you. It could be anybody in this room. Any of you. And the moment you think it's okay to shoot a citizen of the United States because they wanted to leave a scene, and keep in mind, she had broken no law. She was simply following orders to leave a scene. The moment you say it is okay to shoot someone for leaving a scene as ordered by law enforcement, then that makes it okay for anybody here to be murdered by law enforcement. That is what you are endorsing. Anybody here. The Manson Police Department can shoot you. Are you okay with that? Are you?
What an absolute lunatic. Do we need to relitigate? Do we need to relitigate what happened? She was placed under arrest. That's why the policeman stepped in front of her car. Because she was being detained. She was not allowed to leave. She was under arrest. And she's just making it up. She's making things up, and she's deliberately trying to terrify her students. Ash Farms writes on X, the teacher screaming at her students is apparently Kim Keller, a language arts teacher at Manson Northwest Webster High School in Manson, Iowa. Fitting name, I think. And no news that she's been fired or let go. Google isn't showing me anything. There's no news. Multiple reports that it is, in fact, this Kim Keller woman. Let's see if there's anything under the news tab. No. It takes me back to the remote learning that we experienced during COVID and everything that we learned about the indoctrination that was happening in our schools, elementary level children. It's a snippet from a website, I'm assuming the Manson Northwest Webster School website. The senior high administration was made aware of a situation involving inappropriate classroom commentary by one of our staff members regarding recent national news. We appreciate this being brought to our attention and take our responsibility to maintain a safe, respectful, and professional learning environment very seriously. Please know that this matter has been addressed promptly and in accordance with district policy and established personnel procedures. Because this involves a personnel issue and student privacy, we are unable to share additional details at this time. Well, that's mildly encouraging. You know what else is encouraging? That the teacher was getting mad about the students laughing, which tells me that they already know that the students already know that their teacher is a full-blown certifiable lunatic that should not be trusted or listened to. But it goes beyond this one teacher and this particular school in question. Amuse writes on X, diversity. Yale has reached ideological purity. This is Yale, Ivy League. Best of the best, allegedly. A study found 98% of faculty donations go to Democrats and not a single professor donated to a Republican. Zero dissent, zero diversity, total academic capture. A recent analysis shows Yale University faculty donated 90% of political contributions to Democrats, with no professors donating to Republicans at all. The absence of any ideological minority highlights how elite academic institutions have drifted far from the political reality of the U.S. electorate. What Yale calls diversity now excludes half the country by design, 100% by design. And that's because the people that donate, I think this picture is AI. There's a picture shared down below of a super fat, all black rowing team. What do they call that? It's a name that is escaping me. Maybe it's in this. Oh man, why can't I think of the name? What is the name? Help! Somebody tell me. What do you got, chat? Anybody? Oh, what is competitive rowing called? Competitive rowing called. No, not. What is the competitive rowing sport called? Simply called rowing? No, I must be thinking of something else. Oh, it's right on the tip of my brain. Curses. Curses. We move on. On the topic of college indoctrination, which is everywhere. I mean, at this point, don't send your kids to college. Don't even send your kids to school, if I'm being honest. These scumbags. The deepest, darkest pit of hell is reserved for them. And the corruption that they are perpetrating on our children. But I mean, I don't know, what can we expect? What can we expect for comeuppance? Libs of TikTok writes on X. Wow. A federal discrimination complaint has been filed against Eureka USD, United School Districts, or something school district, 389 in Kansas, after they reportedly banned students from choosing Jesus or President Trump as role models for a school assignment. After the initial backlash, the school allegedly told students not to tell their parents about issues at school because the school should be considered their family. This is blatant child indoctrination, and it needs to be immediately investigated. And Harmeet Dillon has been great on these issues. She leads the Civil Rights Division. And that presents an interesting, maybe even you could say the opposite effect, the malevolent side of civil rights. I don't know if you saw this week. All of the stories that were popping up about the lies we've been told in crime statistics. I'm sure you've heard it in the context of illegal immigration. Say, oh, we have all of these criminal aliens that come across and commit all these crimes. I mean, not to mention that they're already criminals as soon as they cross the border illegally. But all of these stories came out this week about all of the lies that we're told when we look at things like crime statistics. Matt Van Swol writes on X, breaking, it has been revealed that the man charged with murdering 2 teenagers in Charlotte, North Carolina is an illegal immigrant. In the arrest records, he is labeled as a white male with blonde or strawberry hair. And you can see the picture here. I don't know, maybe he could pass for white but his name is Aristides Eli Orellana Ramirez. And he looks to be Latino, and he has black, not strawberry or blonde hair. Wow, how could this happen? What's the point? Another post from Taya at Traveling Flying on X. She writes, why are all these suspects being categorized as white? This will inevitably lead to unfair demonization of white Americans, inflating perceptions of white crime. And that's the point, right? Here we have pictures, mugshots, 72 individuals classified as white who are in fact not white. Why would they do this? Well, they would do this to handicap the statistics on immigrants committing crime. It's done deliberately to impact your opinion of illegal immigrants in the country. And as I dug into this, I found something really interesting. The laws designed to protect immigration status, because I dug into these names and some of these mugshots to find out, are these actually illegal immigrants? Or are they just immigrants? Or are they even American-born Latinos that unfortunately have fallen on hard times, live in poverty, have to steal to make ends meet? I wasn't able to find out their immigration status. And I wanted to know why. Turns out, laws designed to protect immigration status were implemented starting in 2005 under George W. Bush. And then made stronger during Obama. Now, 20 years later, we're inundated with criminals, many of whom aren't even supposed to be in this country. And then they tell you it's still white people committing most of the crime. And that's probably true. But shouldn't it be? Shouldn't a country of white people have most of its crimes committed by white people? Libs of TikTok shares 4 more mugshots and writes, Ohio Corrections Center labels these inmates white. Plenty more where this came from too, as we've seen. Our crime statistics are skewed against white people. Where's the name? I'm not seeing the name. Here it is. Duha Kadim Hamdan Al-Shawali. White female. Dianaba Diaw. White female. Roxanne Guadalupe Solis. White female. Martin Elliott Murdoch. White male. He could be a white male. But, I mean, he's looking pretty brown in this picture. Some of them are definitely not. And I mean, I'm sounding hesitant, but there is no room for mistakes. These people are deliberately being entered as white people to cover for the narrative, the accurate narrative, in my opinion, that most of the immigrants in the country illegally commit crimes. It's just interesting that this cover laid for these immigrants began 20 years ago. And now we're feeling the results. This post by at Amuse. North Carolina crime data is broken. About 50% of suspects labeled white are Hispanic. Agencies switch categories at will, and immigration status is never tracked because of the legislation we just discussed. White crime is overstated by over 100%. Matt Van Swole's deep dive into North Carolina racial data reporting shows that depending on police department, between 20% and 70% of Hispanic suspects arrested are classified as white. His research revealed that the race of the same suspect can change based on who is reporting it. The police, the jail, or the courts may classify the race of the same suspects in multiple ways. Bro, why aren't they talking about this on Fox News? I just want to see, I really just want to see if their headlines have changed since we last checked in at the beginning of the show. Oh, Ilhan Omar under fire after profane attack on America during migrant policy speech. She hates the country. I'm sure she was elected fraudulently. And that's kind of part 2 of the immigration fraud. We get the illegal immigrants here. We cover for them when they commit crimes. We hook them up on government benefits. And we have situations like this. The Skiff writes on X, not a single military ballot matched a registered Michigan voter in the system. Every ballot inspected, without exception, was marked for Joe Biden. There wasn't a single Trump vote. Let's watch the video.
Not one of the military ballots was a registered voter. And the ballots looked like they were all exactly the same Xerox copies of the ballot. They were all for Biden across the board. There wasn't a single Trump vote, and none of the voters were registered. They had to manually enter the names and addresses and a birth date of 1/1/2020, which would override the system and allow them to enter non-registered voters, of which I saw several that day. Throughout the day, that's how they would override voters that were neither in the electronic poll book or the supplemental updated poll book.
Thank you.
She's testifying before the Oversight Committee.
What time of the morning was it when you saw this come in? Or what time of the evening was it?
And she's talking, of course, about the 2020 election.
Like you said, 3-ish, 4 in that window.
In the afternoon?
No. I was there from
3 or 4 in the morning?
I was there at 10 p.m. to 5 a.m.
They were in mail sleeves, you said?
Mhm.
AKA envelopes. What do you think the commotion is in the background? Think those are some Soros-sponsored protesters?
Did anybody have any earmarkings of who they were carrying these ballots? Were they carrying them? Were they on a dolly?
Yeah, they were on a dolly. Yeah, they were on a dolly. Do I know who they were? Absolutely not. But there were people that were doing that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Lucido. Senator Santana.
Was there any particular reason you didn't ask for a supervisor to question, the ballots coming in on a dolly or?
Well, I didn't figure I needed to because the lead counsel that was supposed to be there was taking tally, and I was there standing right next to him. So I figured he was kind of the person that was overseeing the whole night. That's what we were told. No, we were talking directly about why are these coming in. We all thought it was interesting that these ballots were coming in so late. What was his response? We were trying to take. Sorry.
What was his response, sir?
We were taking count, and we were his exact response I couldn't recall, but we were definitely perplexed that these were coming in so late, as well as they were being put out to be counted.
But the most secure election in history. So it doesn't matter. I mean, let's not suggest that these illegals are actually voting. All that matters is that they're on the voter rolls as legal voters, because it helps cover up the fraud. As long as you can make a cursory look at the numbers and go, okay, I mean, there's nothing glaring like more votes received than actual registered voters. That's fine. No, they get these illegal immigrants on the voter rolls and they vote for them. And then, of course, this theory is the theory that illegals are voting is justified by saying, oh, well, because they're all hooked up with benefits. So, of course, they're gonna vote in the politicians that will keep the gravy train going. That's just the story that justifies them theoretically voting for the Marxist politicians. And also to make sure they don't leave. We want them to stay in Minnesota. We want them to stay in Minnesota so they remain on the Minnesota voter rolls so we can continue to steal elections for ourselves and keep ourselves in power and then go public by saying that, oh, when Democrats win again in 2028, we're going to be prosecuting all of these Republicans. Wait a minute. How do you know? How are you so confident that you're going to win power again in 2028? Enabling yourself to prosecute all of these Republicans that have made you mad these last couple of years. Oh, well, because you know the fix is in. Because you know about all of the Somali immigrants that you have on your voter rolls that you've made rich through welfare scams. So they're definitely going to stay there. And were they given, now don't get me wrong, were they actually given the opportunity to vote? Were they handed a ballot and a pen or pencil and asked to vote? I mean, who do you think they would vote for? I mean, you don't even need common sense to know who they would vote for. And this is why they're out in droves, protesting, obstructing ICE, putting their bodies at risk. Did you see the video of the guy that got shot with a pepper pellet right in his face? As they were throwing cones at federal officers outside immigration buildings and then charging in. A guy rolls up and he's throwing cones. I don't even know what I would put in. I don't know what I would put in to get that video for you. But I'll try because I love you so much and I want you to have the pleasure. Let's see. Less lethal round shot in face. Let's see. See if that does it. Oh, there's a picture of him. Permanently blind in that eye. No, this isn't it. Oh, here it is. Is this Braden Sorbo again? Nope, this is at lib or normal. Let's bring the volume down a bit. So they're trying to drag a guy away, and another guy charges up. See, this guy runs in, attacks an officer, then they say, "We got you," and then a couple of his friends come to try to help. One of them gets shot in the face. And you know what I say? Don't put your face there. These people are like, they think they're playing a game. And I've heard it described this way, but that's really what is going on. They don't understand. I mean, this guy blind in his left eye forever, allegedly. Because he thought it was a good idea to attack federal law enforcement officers. And the mainstream media tells them they're breaking the law. The mainstream media tells them they're justified in these things. I bet he wishes he didn't do it. But more than that, these things are actually being orchestrated, heavily orchestrated, organized, and funded. And this is a really interesting bit of information here that's probably going to make you mad because it made me mad.
No, here's the federal law people keep flirting with online and pretending that it doesn't exist. Hi, my name is Miss Graves. I'm a U.S. history teacher, and I share with you pieces of U.S. history that you may or may not know about. And today we're going to talk about 18 U.S. Code 372. Let's go. 18 Code U.S. 372 doesn't care about politics. It only cares about coordination. If two or more people agree to threaten, intimidate, or block a federal official from doing their job, that agreement alone can be a felony. No violence required, no follow through required. The plan is enough. Group chats, organizing pressure campaigns against federal judges, coordinated harassment of federal agents, crowds agreeing to shut down federal offices until officials comply. Once it crosses from expression into interference, you've left protest territory. Posting, "I hate this policy," that's protected. Marching with signs, that's protected. But when people coordinate to stop federal officials from functioning, that's where the First Amendment taps out. This statute comes from Reconstruction. It was written because mobs learned that intimidation works better than ballots. Congress shut that door. So here's an uncomfortable question for you. When does activism become coercion?
Well, something's breaking. Or maybe that was the end of the video. Maybe that was the end of the video and it just ran long. So, of course, this begs the question, why, oh why, isn't more being done to stop this? Why aren't we naming and shaming the people that are really responsible for these things going on? Of course, now it's rumored, oh, Tim Walz is being investigated. Jacob Fry is being investigated. He's the mayor of Minneapolis. Okay, when, I mean, come on. Is that supposed to excite me? Investigate. Okay. While they're figuring out how to cover their tracks, while they're destroying evidence, while they're militarizing the city and using words like militancy to describe the organization of these protests, while they're creating occupied autonomous zones like they did in 2020, while they're creating maximum organized chaos, threatening the lives of our federal officers. I mean, yeah, some people are getting arrested. I wonder how many people have been arrested. This is a statistic that I haven't heard. How many protesters have been arrested in the ICE protests this year? Tell me. I mean, any ringleaders? Have you heard any stories of ringleaders, organizers, high-level operatives being held accountable for these protests? What about the fraud? I mean, why hasn't Tim Walz been arrested already? Because they're going to give him a chance to resign and ride off into the sunset in disgrace. This is pathetic. This will make you mad too. Sorry about it. We're drawing to a close here, and I'm going to leave you upset. As of January 18th, 2026, at least, brace yourself, at least 30 protesters. Oh, 30. Wow. But Iran's killed 2,000 protesters. We've arrested 30. Are their actions that much different? I mean, they want apparently regime change in Iran. Are these ICE protesters, are they innocent of also wanting regime change in the United States? I don't think they are. Perhaps more good news or better news. It is good news that they've been arrested and will be held accountable for their crimes. But not particularly encouraging that we've only, I mean, look at how much violence have you seen day in and day out on the news every single day for weeks. It's been going on. We've arrested 30 people. Not encouraging. But we're going to leave it there. Thank you for joining me. Thank you so much. I see you watching the stream. I really appreciate you. I would just ask you, please, before you leave, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the share button, and if you're feeling frisky, leave me a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Or drop a comment. It boosts the visibility, and I really tremendously rely on you to do that. So I thank you in advance. You may give me also a follow at earthvox on X. Send an email to the real earthvox at protonmail.com if you would like to get involved. I would be happy for some help. And send me an email. Of course, 701-787-1121. I'll be back.